You're caught in the SF vortex.
I don't have time to listen to this.
Make the time, because there's nowhere else to go to find out what's happening this week in sci-fi entertainment.
Let's hear it.
I'll make it quick, buddy. William Shatner revisits space, this time as an admiral in the perversions of science, and knows what it'll take to make this trip a success.
Willpower.
You got it, and so does Spawn. He exploded onto the big screen, and our War Room panelists are fired up to take on any holes in this latest comic adaptation.
Now stay sharp, the night is young.
You're not joking, because there's more. A trip to Comic-Con and even a peek inside a prototype spaceship called Event Horizon. What a lineup!
Well, I can see why they sent you.
Welcome to SF Vortex, everybody. I'm Roger Lodge, and you know, summer's just beginning to heat up. But as always, it's plenty hot right here in the Vortex, where we'll be taking a little trip into a parallel universe. We'll also look for a little love with none other than Mr. William Shatner, and we'll check in on the future of the human race on Mission Genesis. And things will get even hotter in the War Room when director Mark Dippe, screenwriter ERIC WALLACE, and sci-fi critic Robert Meyer Burnett rake Spawn the movie over the coals. Wow, how about that? Definitely one of the most visually spectacular films I've seen in a long, long time. All right, folks, here we go. We have made it down to the War Room, and joining me today, War Room regular Mr. ERIC WALLACE, screenwriter and genre film critic. Also here is Robert Meyer Burnett, sci-fi critic and film editor. And a new face here in the War Room, but certainly no stranger to the business. He is Mark A.Z. Dippe, the director of Spawn, and the man who played a pivotal role in the creation of the groundbreaking 3D animation for such films as The Abyss, T2, and another film you just may have heard of, Jurassic Park. All right, guys, here we go. Welcome, first of all. Let's go to topic number one. Many of these comic books now hitting the big screen. You got Batman, you got Men in Black, Spawn, Steel coming up with Shaquille O'Neal, Mark Dippe. What are the ingredients needed to translate a good comic book to a good movie?
Well, the first thing for me is that comic books are a very natural medium to adapt to film because you have story with pictures together. It's a very obvious place to look for material. But one thing about comic books that makes them very strong is they create a world, a very rich world that has its own internal logic, its own sort of setting and atmosphere and tone, and it's very important to stay true to that if you want to capture the spirit of the comic book. I think today what people are reacting against a little bit is that there's sort of this sort of notion of comic books being kind of kitschy and silly, and that's not at all what comic books are really about as a whole.
Eric, do you agree?
Yeah, I'd have to look at something a little differently, though. I think the key ingredient for adapting a comic book is taking a premise. That's what comic books provide. They provide a world also, but they provide premises that are outrageous, fantastic, that audiences will love. And that's really the only thing you need. I think the other thing that's necessary to make a successful adaptation of a comic book is the same thing that you need for any other movie.
Which is?
Good writing, good acting, good directing. And if you don't have those things, your movie isn't going to work.
And somehow working Kevin Bacon. Right.
That too.
Robert, what do you think?
Well, I think one of the problems with comic book films is that they're not considered to be serious source material the way, say, a novel is. You have a comic book like, for instance, Batman and Robin is a perfect example of a film. The Batman comics within their pages strive to create a believable reality for the viewers or for the readers. The film Batman and Robin has nothing that we can grasp a hold of as an audience that's any way, shape, or form familiar. There's nothing real about those films, so we don't care about them. And hence, we just watch for 2 hours what's going on the screen without any kind of an emotional investment.
And what's real for you about Spawn?
Well, I think the thing about Spawn is he's a character that is he's a tragic, classically tragic hero that is dealing with, he's lost his wife, he's lost his life, he's lost everything that matters to him, and he must strive to overcome that. Let's face it, he's a hellspawn. He's dealing with the devil. You know, you can't get much more tragic than that.
ERIC WALLACE, what worked for you in Spawn?
In Spawn, I think, once again, I go back to the premise. It's just very cool to have a guy escape from hell and kick ass. That's good stuff. That's the only thing I need barred from the comic books. But on the other hand, I need a few other things that perhaps are absent from the film.
Actually, we need to sell a few things, so let's take a break. When we come back, there'll be lots more here about Spawn. Don't go anywhere, folks. We're right back.